Hi, everybody. Yesterday, I put out a Griffin video, or as somebody commented in the comments, a Griffin video. Okay, interesting. Lots of great comments, lots of kind of trolling, I learned a lot though. Some people would actually put in the at minute 102, such and such a point, at minute 204, such and such a point. Absolutely fantastic. There's stuff I don't know. I'm a guy in his basement. Seriously, I'm no expert. I'm kind of a noob at this. And there's other things, when I was saying the B-52 is 50 years old, it's actually, somebody commented it's over 70 years old. I still think we're in 2004. I'm confused. This is what happens when you start graying. Somebody commented also something else that I thought was really interesting. There's a video by Ward Carroll where he does a deep dive analysis of the report that just came out on the F-35. So instead of me bashing on the F-35 for any reason whatsoever, because I don't need much of an excuse because of what the orange guy has said about Canada. But I want to have an unbiased opinion. So let's go take a look.
The Joint Strike Fighter program evolved from the Pentagon's original requirement to design a fifth-generation strike fighter for the U.S. Air Force, Navy, and Marine Corps and international partners. Fifth-generation capability is characterized by stealth, advanced avionics, and sensor fusion that yields unprecedented levels of situational awareness and command and control capabilities, along with long-range lethality within an adaptive network-centric warfare strategy. On October 26, 2001, Lockheed Martin was declared the winner of the Joint Strike Fighter program, beating out the Boeing X-32 in the final head-to-head.
Seriously, look at the Boeing X-32. Goofy looking thing. Probably very stealthy because of the design, but look at this air intake here. Oh my goodness. All right, just aesthetics though.
Competition. From the outset, the ambitious nature of the F-35's generational improvements led to delivery delays and cost overruns. The first version of the helmet mount.
Can I back up a second here? Okay, so this is Ward Carroll. Now, he's okay in my book. I don't see any dogs anywhere, but he's got a Cherry Sunburst Les Paul back here. Seems to have an SG, a Marshall stack. It's okay in my book.
Generational improvements led to delivery delays and cost overruns. The first version of the helmet-mounted display system that replaces the need for a physical heads-up display mounted in front of the pilot and allows missile seekers to be cued off bore sight had a problem with symbology jittering when projected in the pilot's visor, which by itself took 5 years of testing and development to correct.
5 years to correct the problems with the helmet. And each helmet, if I'm not mistaken, is $400,000 US. Each helmet. Oh. I'm in the wrong business, obviously.
Flight testing of the F-35B,
oh, look
the
how
Marine
cool that
Corps
is.
vertical.
Look how cool that is hovering. That is awesome.
Takeoff and landing version caused premature cracks that required a fuselage redesign. The tailhook on the F-35C, the carrier-based version of the airplane, didn't catch the arresting wire at first, which forced a redesign that took 2 years. And afterburner use caused heat damage.
A 2-year redesign of the arresting hook. How long have arresting hooks been around? The Wildcat, the F4F, F6F Hellcat. This technology was pretty much down back then. What was that, 1941?
So the horizontal tails on both the B and the C models, requiring another redesign that led to more delays. And the Joint Strike Fighter's F-135 turbofan engine, manufactured by Pratt & Whitney, which was derived from the F-119 used by the F-22, had problems with the low observable augmenter fundamental to the stealth design that caused pressure pulses at low altitudes and high airspeeds, which required another redesign that put the program further behind schedule. As a result of these redesign delays and test failures and cost overruns, the first U.S. Marine Corps F-35B didn't reach deployable squadrons until July of 2015, followed by the U.S. Air Force.
How late is that, July 2015? When was it supposed to originally come out? When you look at, like any project, there's a few things that you have to balance. Cost, how long something will take, and then the quality. So we can make it cheap, we can do it fast, but the quality is going to be crap. What's happened here is that the quality problem was built right into the design. So um, it wasn't fast, and it was very expensive.
Course, F-35A in August of 2016, and then the U.S. Navy F-35C in February of 2019. So that's between 14 to 18 years when the contract was initially awarded to Lockheed Martin and when the first airplanes actually reached the operational force. The Joint Strike Fighter, or F-35 program, is managed by PEOJSF, which is an acronym for Program Executive Office Joint Strike Fighter, located in Northern Virginia just across I-395 from
The project is managed is quite a stretch when you see what happened and what's happening. I think the project we can say is mismanaged by some heads have to roll. This is crazy. Money's being thrown at these aircraft.
the Pentagon. The program manager is an Air Force or Marine Corps Lieutenant General or Navy Vice Admiral, the most senior ranking PEO within the U.S. Military Systems Commands, which shows how big and important the program is. Part of the promise of the F-35 is its open architecture, designed to allow the airplane to keep up with technological improvements over its lifespan. But attempts to take advantage of this feature, something that was supposed to streamline innovation and reduce costs of the program, has resulted in additional delivery delays and cost overruns, which has in turn caused disruptive modifications to the Pentagon's plan to replace existing fourth-generation squadrons. For instance, in 2015, the U.S. Navy told Congress they needed to extend Boeing's Super Hornet production because they weren't getting new F-35Cs in time to replace the F-18Es and Fs.
Of course, it's going to screw up all the schedules. I mean, these designs are planned to come in, are planned, over a horizon of 10, 15, 20 years. We look at the new aircraft that Saab is talking about coming out with, the more stealthy versions, the more stealthy aircraft. They're talking about 2035, and we're 2025 now, so kind of makes sense. The sooner you find the errors and the things that don't work, the quicker you can fix them, and the less extended time and the less the overruns are costly. Find it early. Was it fail fast, fail early, fail often? No. But honestly, fail fast. The things that you're not sure that are going to work, you have to make sure you test them out before you put them into an airframe. There were too many unknowns.
They were aging out of the fleet. Congress eventually approved $1.3 billion for 17 additional Super Hornets, or about 2 squadrons worth. The Marine Corps has been forced to keep AV-8B Harrier squadrons operational past their planned
That is a cool airplane. The Harrier, that is a cool airplane. The Marines started using it and upgraded it and put all kinds of great options in there. What a beautiful aircraft.
commissioning date because F-35B deliveries have been late, and the Air Force has had to rethink how it's preserving its fourth-generation inventory in the face of F-35A shortfalls. Now the Government Accountability Office has just released a report titled F-35 Joint Strike Fighter: Actions Needed to Address Late Deliveries and Improve Future Development. And the findings are pretty damning for a program that's had as much time, focus, and funding to fix problems as the Joint Strike Fighter has. The military is a busy beat, and among the resources that I use to keep up with current events is ground news. Let's search a general topic adjacent to the subject of this episode, the U.S. Air Force. There are 243 stories on that, covered the most by these outlets, and down here we get a breakdown of media bias. As we scroll, we can see the wide variety of headlines dealing with the U.S. Air Force, all kinds of information here. And at the bottom, we have the categories. So if we click on Aviation, it drives us to this page where there's a story about a British F-35 that got stranded in India. Click on that, and we get to a page that tees up 66 stories on that topic. It's easy to pick one and read it and then click back again. You can't get this kind of information organized like this anywhere else. Go to ground.news/Ward or scan the QR code on the screen. If you use my link, you can get 40% off unlimited access, which is the Vantage plan that I use. The link is in the episode description and pinned to the comments below, so check it out. The GAO report centers on 3 issues. The first being the F-35 program's 7-year hardware and software modification effort, known as Block 4, which is 5 years behind schedule and $6 billion over budget. Block 4 is
7-year program that's 5 years behind schedule. Oh my God. Oh my God. And they couldn't see it coming. Oh, but I have to tell you though, often in project management, things aren't clear. I remember working on some projects where, we didn't know what the scope was, we didn't know what the spec was, we didn't know what the deliverables would be, and the client was telling us, I don't know what I want, but impress me.
Supposed to help the F-35 counter emerging threats, read China, by adding upgrades that will allow new weapons and radar enhancements, among other improvements. The second issue is a $1.9 billion suite of new hardware and software technologies that will enable many Block 4 capabilities known as Technology Refresh 3. TR3 provides improved systems processing capability and increased memory capacity over the current TR2 improvements now in use by the F-35 fleet. But the TR3 effort has been stalled by supply chain and software development issues that, in turn, delayed the program's progress in fielding Block 4 capabilities. Specifically, the TR3 issues causing delays
Darn programmers. They're blaming the programmers. It's not the programmers.
have included what the report calls design immaturity of the mission's computer integrated core processor that led to the supplier delivering fewer of them and later than planned. And those they did manage to deliver had quality issues. The Next Generation Distributed Aperture System, or DAS, which is an upgrade to the F-35's current sensor suite that gives pilots a comprehensive and real-time view of the operational environment, including cameras mounted around the aircraft that allows a pilot to see through the fuselage, has had design delays.
Okay, that's pretty awesome. So the helmet allows them to look down and they can see through the aircraft to the ground. In World War II, they came out with the bubble canopy on the P-51s and eventually put them onto the Mustangs. P-51s, eventually put them on the Spitfires and other planes like that. So visibility is the hallmark of a great aircraft. Wow, they can see through them now. They're not transparent, but there's cameras that will project. Wow.
And the software that runs TR3 has had stability issues that affects radar and cockpit displays. Originally, the Pentagon wasn't accepting aircraft without the TR3 hardware and software, and as a result, Lockheed Martin parked aircraft at its facility to await that required hardware and software. But in July of 2024, to mitigate the risk of having potentially over 100 F-35 aircraft parked on contractor facilities, BEOJSF, the three-star program manager, decided to provisionally accept aircraft in what they categorized as a non-combat capable status with TR3 hardware. Program officials.
Okay, so because they weren't working and they were trying to fix all the bugs and the problems and so on, the F-35s were kind of accumulating in the parking lot at the manufacturers. So they got a special permission to send them off to different air bases and so on, even if they weren't up to par. And the reason you don't want to have 100 of your zillion-dollar aircraft in one place is because if something happens, it's going to happen to everything at the same time.
Officials stated that this approach allowed Lockheed Martin to address the stability issues while providing the military departments with aircraft that would be used for training purposes, while Lockheed Martin developed further software upgrades to add combat capability. Lockheed Martin was fined $5 million for each airplane they delivered that was non-combat capable, which is roughly only 3% of the flyaway unit cost of an F-35. But under the contract, that fine will be refunded once Block 4 upgrades are installed in those airplanes, which under the current plan will be 2026. And the third.
What happened, Lockheed? What happened? P-38, amazing Kelly Johnson design plane. A P-80 Shooting Star, the F-104 Starfighter, the U-2, the SR-71, the L-1011. L-1011, what a plane, ahead of its time. Oh, wow, amazing aircraft. What happened, Lockheed? In my humble opinion, I think what happened is these contracts aren't tight enough, and people are getting rewarded for delivering late. In my humble opinion, allegedly.
Third issue deals with the fact that the Block 4 improvements require more power and cooling than program engineers originally projected, which means the jet's engine has to work harder than designed, reducing overall life expectancy. That shorter engine life means engines have to be changed more frequently than planned, And that reality has added $38 billion to the JSF program's life cycle.
$38 billion added to the program because the engines have to work harder because of cooling and other features. Did heads roll? Are these engineers looking for jobs today, or did they just get like a bonus? Oh, and something else. How cool are these uniforms? I mean, how cool are these uniforms right here? Air Force. I didn't know they were blue. I thought I would have thought Navy, but neat uniforms.
Cycle cost estimate. That power and cooling deficit associated with Block 4 caused PEO JSF to award Pratt & Whitney $1.3 billion to develop improvements to the F-135 engine, specifically upgrades to the engine core and power thermal management unit. But Pratt & Whitney has been suffering its own supply chain issues that has caused the company to deliver the current design of engines to Lockheed Martin late. And as this graphic shows, that problem has only gotten worse since 2019. Engine delays combined with other supply chain delays have led to...
Of course it's gotten worse. If you're late and you don't put in extra effort or throw more people at the problem to speed things up and to catch up what you're late on, you're never going to catch up. And if you were late, there was a reason behind that. If you don't do anything different, you're just going to continue being late by the proportion that you are for each engine you build. Come on. Come on. I like how they talk about oversight. Oh, God.
Exponential increases in the percentage of F-35s Lockheed Martin has delivered late to the Pentagon. As this graphic shows, in 2024, all of the airplanes were delivered late, and the average length of the delay was 238 days compared to 16 days in 2021. The breaking news here is that in response to these trends, the F-35 Block 4 upgrade program is scaling back some of the tech upgrades in the bundle. Block 4 was originally a 53 capability upgrade that was supposed to be operational in 2026. Those 53 capabilities grew to 66, and as mentioned previously, the effort is $6 billion over budget and 5 years late at this point. Now,
these numbers are being thrown around as if they're nothing. 1.5 billion here, 6 billion there, 3 billion there, billion. A billion is 1,000 million. It's not just the one with a bunch of zeros behind it. It's $1,000 million piles.
Block 4 is being restructured to a sub-program with reduced scope to eliminate the engine and cooling upgrade dependency and develop a plan to deliver results by 2031. So to summarize, the F-35 that's supposed to counter the high-end threat that exists now won't be operational for another 6 years, and when it does arrive, it will be less capable than the Pentagon requires, but will be more expensive than the already astronomical budget supports. According to the most recent available DoD cost estimate, total acquisition costs have increased to $485 billion for the program, an increase of $43 billion from the previous December 2022 estimate. In addition, the program office estimates that the cost to operate and sustain the F-35 fleet through its 77-year life cycle are at least $1.58 trillion, bringing the F-35 program's total acquisition and sustainment costs to over $2 trillion. That's trillion with a T.
Yeah, a trillion with a T. That's a million piles of $1 million. Do you know what a million pieces of rice looks like?
Now let's talk about how the F-35's defense companies get paid by the government, which the GAO has flagged as a significant part of the problem. First, companies earn a base profit, which is a negotiated percentage of the cost of the engine or aircraft. Second, on top of the base profit, the contract can include the payment of additional fees to incentivize companies to identify opportunities to reduce the cost of developing and producing the engine or aircraft. Third,
why reduce cost when you're just paid more when it costs more? So what could those incentives be? They're definitely not enough.
Contract may also include fees or penalties to incentivize the contractors to meet performance objectives, such as reducing the overall time it takes to build an engine or aircraft and deliver them on time. The F-35 program office compensated Lockheed Martin with hundreds of millions of dollars of performance incentive fees, while the percentage of aircraft delivered late and the average days they were delivered late grew. For aircraft that were delivered between 2021 and 2024, the program included performance incentive fees to drive Lockheed Martin's performance in certain areas, including delivering aircraft on time. That contract allows Lockheed Martin to earn a portion of the fees for aircraft delivered up to 60 days late, with the fee decreasing every day the aircraft is late. Lockheed Martin earned a large percentage of the on-time delivery performance incentive fee, although it delivered aircraft late, as shown in this figure here. While the JSF program originally tried to incentivize on-time delivery, once officials knew Lockheed Martin would not be able to earn those incentives, mostly because of TR-3 problems, instead of withholding the fee and saving the taxpayer millions of dollars, they rewrote the contract and repurposed the incentive fees to other parts of the manufacturing process, which allowed the company to earn incentive fees it wasn't eligible for under the previous contract. The engine manufacturer Pratt & Whitney also earned tens of millions of dollars in incentive fees while also being partially penalized for delivering engines increasingly late. The F-35 program incentive fee structure for the engine allowed Pratt & Whitney to earn more money if engines passed specific quality tests and if it kept total assembly time down. That same incentive structure also included penalties if Pratt & Whitney delivered engines late. While the company lost $10 million for consistently missing delivery deadlines, it earned more than 10 times that because the value of the fees earned for keeping assembly time down more than offset the penalties for delivering the engines late. The bottom line.
Again, who's writing these contracts? Who's writing these contracts? Sorry, let's back up a bit. Oh, this is upsetting.
More than offset the penalties for delivering the engines late. The bottom line here is the JSF program's incentive structure and late delivery penalty was not effective at improving on-time deliveries. So here are a few highlights of the GAO's conclusions in this report. Quote, the F-35 remains critical to our national defense as well as that of our partners and allies, and is expected to retain critical roles for decades to come. In our reviews of the F-35 program over the last 2 decades, we have routinely recounted cost and schedule overruns and other shortfalls. With the program now focused on production and modernization, it has an opportunity to cut a new path of greater accountability for delivering highly capable aircraft that meet warfighter needs at a pace of relevance. After nearly 20 years of aircraft production, however, the F-35 program continues to overpromise and underdeliver. In addition, the F-35's contractors continue to have challenges with fully meeting contract requirements, and the program rewards them for it. Supply chain challenges continue to strain engine and aircraft production schedules, leading to increasingly late deliveries. The program, however, has not accounted for these delays as it continues to direct the contractors to increase production rates. Better aligning planned production and sustainment demands with contractor and supplier capacity would facilitate the ability of contractors to deliver engines and aircraft on time and better ensure warfighters receive aircraft when planned. Continuing to plan for engines and aircraft that have not been delivered on time leaves the military departments with unmet expectations and a less capable fighting force than planned. Finally, the program has taken considerable steps to pay incentives to the contractors with the aim of improving timely delivery. Nonetheless, delivery timeframes continue to worsen, but the fee.
You'd think this was the first contract somebody had written. These companies have been around for a while. This is not the first contract. How are there not lessons learned from past contracts? And you know, and they're still they're still making the same mistakes. Accountability, what a joke. What a joke. How about just Canada paying for, yeah, never mind.
Continue to be paid. It's increasingly important that DoD obtains real value for providing increased fees to contractors above and beyond the profits already built into the contracts through incentives. Better aligning incentive fee structure and payments with key goals of the program could help ensure these higher payments lead to improved outcomes for the taxpayer and the warfighter. After 24 years with a $2 trillion program, these conclusions are alarming, to be polite about it. And as our friends at The Merge point out in a recent edition of their newsletter, given that the Block 4 effort has had so many dependencies on the critical path, TR3, new engines, new cooling, etc., waiting until the deadline to restructure the upgrade program was negligent and something PEO-JSF should have done years ago. The MERS newsletter reminds readers that as the F-22 program got knifed from 750 to 187 jets, the U.S. Air Force leadership created a disdain narrative for fourth-gen fighters to consolidate support for the struggling F-35 program. And the merge team wonders what putting a small percentage of the F-35's $2 trillion budget, say $16 billion for a viable tech upgrade, would do to an F-15EX or an F-16. That's a great question, and one that the Secretary of Defense, Secretary of War, should be focused on. After all,
Secretary of War. This is the government of peace? Come on. It's so terrible. Yeah. And you know, the F-16, F-15 are proven airframes. So putting a few billion into those, you know, once again, F-15, just top of the line. Oh, somebody commented also F-14. Yeah, F-14, pretty neat, but expensive though with the variable incidents, not variable incidents, with the variable swept wings. Again, but amazing aircraft. This is just, it's a, you know, to any outsider, this looks like it's just a cash cow for these companies.
a warfighting ethos is pretty useless without the tools to effectively wage war. All right, that'll do it for this episode. If you're not already a subscriber, become one so you don't miss anything going forward. And in the meantime, I look forward to talking to you again very soon.
Excellent. So if you like that, if you enjoyed his video, please go like and subscribe. He's got plenty of fantastic videos to look at. So if you enjoyed that, please like and subscribe and share if you can, because I'm trying to grow the channel. Don't forget, Christmas around the corner. There's my okay, I can't find the other one. There's my two digital marketing books that if they don't interest you, they might be an interesting gift for somebody that you love. Thanks for spending time with me. This has been really neat. Thanks for the suggestion, by the way. This was from what somebody's comments in the Griffin video. Thanks. Go play outside.